The world is full of illusions. One of the greatest illusions is love, the idea that love is something pure, something sacred that completes us. From a young age, society has nurtured this image in us, painting a beautiful picture of romantic love as the ultimate goal, the final piece that will make everything fall into place. We grow up hearing stories about knights and princesses, soulmates, and happily ever afters. But what if I told you that these stories are nothing more than a dream, a beautiful lie? What if I told you that the love you've been chasing your entire life is not what you think it is? What if love as we know it is nothing more than a trick played by nature on your heart? And what if everything you believe about women and love was shattered by a harsh truth that one man nearly 200 years ago tried to warn us about? His name was Arthur Schopenhauer, and his idea, though controversial and uncomfortable, may just be the eye-opener we need to understand the game we're playing. Arthur Schopenhauer, a German philosopher, was known for his harsh and sometimes pessimistic views on love, marriage, and human existence. Schopenhauer viewed romantic love not as something divine or noble, but as a biological mechanism, a part of nature's strategy to ensure the survival and propagation of the human species. According to him, everything in life, including love, is controlled by a force he called the will to life, a blind and uncontrollable instinct that drives humans toward reproduction and existence. In Schopenhauer's worldview, love is not the union of two perfect souls, but rather a force of nature that operates relentlessly without regard for individual needs, desires, or happiness. You think you are in love with her. You think she is the one who will complete you. Think again. You are being played. Schopenhauer's analysis of love was nothing short of revolutionary, and it remains chillingly relevant today. He argued that the emotions we experience when we fall in love, the intense feelings of ecstasy, obsession, and passion, are all part of nature's strategy to ensure the survival of the human race. Love, in Schopenhauer's view, is not something pure or magical. It is nature's bait designed to lure us into mating and reproducing. He referred to this relentless drive as the will to life, an irrational force that does not care about our happiness, desires, or even our personal dreams. It only cares about one thing: ensuring that the human race continues. So when you fall madly in love, it is not cosmic destiny at work. It is your instincts at play, calculating the best possible mate for the next generation. It's harsh, it's brutal, but it's also the truth. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. The love you feel, the passion you experience, it's not about you. It's not about her. It's about biology, nature's clever trick to get you to bind yourself to someone, to commit to sacrifice, to ensure that life continues. When a man falls in love, he is not just experiencing something personal and beautiful. He is serving a much larger biological purpose, one that transcends his individual happiness. Schopenhauer painted a grim picture of this reality, where love is not the blissful union of two souls, but a force of nature that operates without mercy, without regard for individual needs or happiness. And once nature has achieved its goal, once the man has bonded with the woman, provided for her, and procreated, nature's illusion vanishes. The passionate love fades. The man wakes up often feeling empty and confused, realizing that the happiness he thought would last forever was nothing more than a fleeting moment. Schopenhauer did not see love as the coming together of two souls seeking eternal union. For him, love was a means to an end, a tool of nature designed to draw us into reproduction. He believed that we are driven by a powerful force called the will to life, and in nature's scheme it cares nothing about personal happiness or comfort. It only cares about one thing: the continuation of the species. Love, he argued, is merely nature's clever bait to get us to mate and procreate. Schopenhauer said that the emotions we experience in love are nothing more than a biological trick designed to ensure the survival of the human race. Schopenhauer's analysis of love was not just a warning about the shallowness of romantic ideals. He also pointed out that love in its essence is not about the personal fulfillment of the individual. It is about survival. Every feeling of passion, every flutter of the heart, every moment of bliss in love is merely a part of nature's strategy to ensure reproduction. Love in Schopenhauer's view is a biological imperative, a trick that nature uses to manipulate us into making the ultimate sacrifice. Our time, energy, and resources, all for the sake of ensuring the continuation of life. Nature does not care if we are happy in love. It only cares if we reproduce. This realization is unsettling. It's the cold truth that Schopenhauer believed we all need to understand love, as we know it is not about the fulfillment of personal desires or the connection between two souls. It is about nature's ruthless drive to keep life going, and we are nothing more than pawns in that larger biological game. For Schopenhauer, the view of women was especially controversial. He did not see women as individuals with their own desires, dreams, and aspirations. Instead, he saw them as tools of nature designed to lure men into commitment for the sake of reproduction. He believed that women were endowed with beauty and charm during their prime years to attract men and convince them to commit. But this beauty was temporary. Schopenhauer believed that once reproduction was achieved, the woman's beauty would fade, and the illusion that had captured the man would be gone. According to Schopenhauer, this was not a conscious deception on the part of women. Rather, it was a biological process that they were unable to control. He argued that women were designed by nature to be the enticement, the lure that drew men into reproduction. Their beauty was a temporary tool to secure their role in procreation, and once that role was fulfilled, nature no longer needed them to remain beautiful. Schopenhauer's view of women was harsh, even cruel, but he did not place blame on them. He simply argued that they too were bound by the same biological forces as men, and that their purpose in life was driven by the will to life, just as men's actions were. Schopenhauer went further to explain the imbalance in romantic relationships between men and women. When men fall in love, they idealize the woman they love. They see her as a goddess, an ideal form of beauty and virtue overlooking any flaws. But women, according to Schopenhauer, are much more practical. They are not idealizing the man, but rather looking at him for what he can provide: resources, protection, and stability for her and their children. Women view men through the lens of practical needs, not as some idealized figure. This imbalance in how men and women perceive one another is at the heart of many misunderstandings in relationships. Men tend to be swept up by passion and idealize their partner, while women, driven by a more instinctual, practical mindset, do not fall for the same illusions. They are more focused on survival, on ensuring that the man can provide for her and her offspring. Schopenhauer believed that this imbalance is the root cause of much of the disappointment that men experience in love. Men project virtues onto women, seeing them as perfect and ideal, while women see men for who they really are. Schopenhauer did not merely see love as an illusion or a trick of nature. He also saw it as a sacrifice that often comes with great pain and disappointment. Men, according to Schopenhauer, sacrifice a great deal for love: their time, their energy, their resources, and sometimes even their identity. Love often requires men to give up parts of themselves in order to fulfill the role of a provider and protector for the woman and their children. Schopenhauer was not merely warning about the illusions of romantic love. He was also cautioning men about the emotional cost of love. When men become too consumed by love, they lose sight of themselves. They forget their own goals, their own desires, and they lose their sense of identity. Love, in Schopenhauer's view, has the potential to destroy a man's sense of self. When the love fades, as it inevitably does, the man is left feeling empty, lost, and betrayed. The sacrifice was never worth it. Schopenhauer believed because love was not about personal happiness, it was about the continuation of the species, and men had been manipulated into serving that higher goal. One of Schopenhauer's most controversial and striking views on love is how he criticized the idealization of women by men. According to him, when a man falls in love, he idealizes the woman he loves. He sees her as a goddess, a perfect being who can do no wrong. Schopenhauer argued that this idealization is a dangerous illusion. As soon as the man realizes that the woman is not perfect, disappointment and heartbreak are inevitable. Schopenhauer believed that the man in his passion projects all his hopes and dreams onto the woman. He creates an idealized image of her in his mind, and when the reality of who she truly is emerges, it shatters that illusion. This is the painful moment when the man realizes that the woman he thought was perfect is in fact just another human being with flaws. The disappointment that follows this realization is part of the price men must pay for their idealized view of love. In contrast, Schopenhauer believed that women guided by practical instincts rarely idealize men in the same way. They are not swept away by passion and fantasy. Instead, they view men more realistically, seeing them for what they are, potential partners who can provide for them and their children. This practical, survival-driven view of love is often at odds with the romanticized, idealized version that men hold. Schopenhauer didn't just talk about the heartbreak of love, he also pointed out that it comes with a steep price, one that men often pay in the form of self-sacrifice. Men who fall in love often find themselves sacrificing their time, their money, their career, and even their identity for the sake of love. Schopenhauer viewed this as part of a larger biological game, one that men are often unaware of. When a man falls in love, he is not just making a personal choice to commit. He is responding to a deep, unconscious instinct that drives him to bond with a woman and fulfill his role in the survival of the species. Schopenhauer argued that love often blinds men to their own best interests. When they fall deeply in love, they lose their sense of self. They are so consumed by the idea of love and devotion that they give up their own aspirations and dreams. But once the illusion of love fades, and the woman no longer fulfills her role in his life, the man is left with nothing. He has given up so much for the sake of love, only to be left feeling empty and betrayed. Schopenhauer not only spoke of the heartache of love, but also pointed out that this heartache is the price of awareness and enlightenment. He did not want people to live in illusion, no matter how beautiful and appealing those illusions may be. The truth is that while love can bring sweet feelings and joy, it is also one part of the biological game that nature has set up. To understand the true nature of love, Schopenhauer believed we need to break free from idealization and accept that love is not something sacred or eternal. Love, according to him, is merely a tool to achieve reproduction. According to Schopenhauer, the price of love is not just about material or emotional sacrifice. It is also about waking up to uncomfortable truths. When men fall in love, they not only sacrifice themselves, but they must also face the reality that love can fade suddenly. When love is no longer there, or when the woman no longer meets the man's needs, he will feel completely empty and abandoned. But Schopenhauer argued that this is a part of awakening. He believed that those who could see the true nature of love would not suffer as much as those who continue to idealize it. Only when we understand this truth can we move past the pain and disappointment that love can bring. Finally, Schopenhauer advises us to approach love with caution and to view it realistically. He does not suggest that we abandon love, but he warns that we should not idealize it or rely on it for personal fulfillment. He says that we need to see love for what it truly is, not a divine magical force, but a biological instinct. When we idealize love, we open ourselves up to disappointment. We set ourselves up for heartbreak. Schopenhauer's warning is clear. Love is not the ultimate goal of life. It is a part of nature's grand strategy, and if we fail to understand its true nature, we will continue to be manipulated by it. Schopenhauer doesn't discourage us from loving, but he stresses that we should love with our eyes open. He wants us to understand that we are driven by biological forces, and love is part of that drive. When we understand this, we can love with greater awareness, without expecting too much from it and without losing ourselves in it. Schopenhauer's advice is not to close ourselves off to love, but to understand it in its true form and avoid becoming its victim. Schopenhauer also points out that men, in particular, often sacrifice themselves for love. When men fall in love, they frequently give up their own dreams, goals, and sense of self to please the woman they love. This is dangerous, Schopenhauer believes, because it puts them in a vulnerable position. When love fades, or when the woman no longer fulfills her role, the man is left feeling empty. Schopenhauer warns against this kind of self-sacrifice. He believes that love should not be the source of our identity. We should never lose ourselves completely in a relationship, because doing so will leave us devastated when that relationship ends. Schopenhauer's philosophy about love is not about denying the possibility of genuine love. It's about understanding the larger forces at play, the biological instincts that drive us to love and commit. But he also warns that we must keep our sense of self intact. Men especially are at risk of losing themselves in love. When they fall deeply in love, they may forget their own ambitions, their own identity, and their own purpose in life. Schopenhauer says that this is a dangerous path to follow. Love is powerful, but it should not define who we are. We should not sacrifice our own purpose for love, because when the love fades, what remains? If we lose ourselves completely in love, we risk being left with nothing when the relationship ends. Schopenhauer advises that men, in particular, should never forget who they are outside of the relationship. They should not let love define their sense of self. Love should be a part of life, but not the whole of it. When we love, we must remain aware of our own goals, dreams, and desires. We should not allow ourselves to become entirely dependent on the relationship. Schopenhauer's philosophy, although harsh and even pessimistic, is meant to provide us with a clearer understanding of love. Love is not a magical force that will fulfill us, and it is not always the beautiful, idealized experience that we are led to believe. Understanding love for what it truly is, biological, temporary, and often fleeting, allows us to approach it with more clarity and less expectation. We can still love, but we must do so wisely, with awareness of the biological forces at play. Ultimately, Schopenhauer suggests that we need to be aware of the illusions surrounding love. He doesn't want us to give up on love entirely, but he urges us to see it for what it is. We need to stop idealizing love and understand that it is part of a larger biological game. Love can bring joy, but it also brings pain, especially when we allow ourselves to become consumed by it. Schopenhauer's ultimate message is that we must live with awareness, not just in love, but in all aspects of life. Schopenhauer warns that when we idealize love, we set ourselves up for disappointment. We expect too much from love, and when that love fades or does not live up to our expectations, we are left heartbroken. But if we understand that love is not about fulfilling our deepest desires or making us complete, we can avoid the pain that comes with the illusion. Love can still be a beautiful experience, but it must be viewed realistically. We cannot allow it to control us or define our lives. Schopenhauer's warning is not that love is inherently bad or that we should avoid it, but that we must be careful not to fall victim to its illusions. We must love with our eyes open, aware of the biological forces at play, and not sacrifice our identity for the sake of love. When we see love for what it truly is, we can approach it with more wisdom and clarity, avoiding the heartache that comes from idealizing it. The power to love, according to Schopenhauer, lies in understanding love's true nature and using that knowledge to guide us through the complexities of romantic relationships. One of Schopenhauer's central critiques of love is the idealization that men often do with women. According to him, when a man falls in love, he idealizes the woman he loves. He sees her as a goddess, a perfect being who can do no wrong. Schopenhauer argues that this idealization is a dangerous illusion. As soon as the man realizes that the woman is not perfect, disappointment and heartbreak are inevitable. Schopenhauer believed that the man in his passion projects all his hopes and dreams onto the woman. He creates an idealized image of her in his mind, and when the reality of who she truly is emerges, it shatters that illusion. This is the painful moment when the man realizes that the woman he thought was perfect is in fact just another human being with flaws. The disappointment that follows this realization is part of the price men must pay for their idealized view of love. In contrast, Schopenhauer believed that women guided by practical instincts rarely idealize men in the same way. They are not swept away by passion and fantasy. Instead, they view men more realistically, seeing them for what they are, potential partners who can provide for them and their children. This practical, survival-driven view of love is often at odds with the romanticized, idealized version that men hold. Schopenhauer's philosophy is not about denying love, but about understanding it in its true form. Love is not a magical force that will fulfill all our desires. It is a powerful biological instinct that serves nature's goal of reproduction. The price of love is sacrifice, idealization, and the potential for heartbreak. Schopenhauer urges men in particular to be aware of this price and to approach love with caution. Do not sacrifice your identity or your dreams for the sake of love. Love is not the ultimate purpose of life. It is part of nature's grand scheme. By understanding love for what it truly is, we can live more wisely and avoid the pain that comes from idealizing it. Schopenhauer's warning is clear. Love is not the ultimate goal in life. It is a powerful biological drive, but it is not the source of true happiness. True happiness comes from understanding love's true nature and not expecting too much from it. If we can approach love with awareness, understanding its biological roots and its temporary nature, we can love wisely and avoid the pain that comes from idealizing it. Schopenhauer's message is not about rejecting love, but